Hello everyone and welcome back to the Token City Show. Today we have with us Tim Dierckxsens. He is the CEO and co-founder of Venly, a blockchain platform providing services such as blockchain wallets, NFT services, and payment services. Venly has been helping many companies traverse the route from Web 2 to Web 3. Hi, Tim, and welcome to the show.
Here.
Same. Thank you for being here. Let's begin with you. You started the company in 2017, which was, it was a very characteristic moment in the crypto space, right? A lot of ICOs going on and so on. So I was wondering, what did you see at the moment in the market? And how do you see Venly now after your current journey?
Do you mean what I see in the markets now?
Yeah, no. What you saw in the market at the moment? What made you jump? Say, okay, I have to join in. And how do you see your journey thus far?
So that story actually began a little bit earlier, when I was business consultant at a music industry. And that was back in 2014. And it was my job to digitize the contracts to get in money to pay out. Sorry? So it was my job to pay out the contracts. It was my job to digitize the contracts where money that was brought in so that you then had to pay the composers, pay the artists that actually performed the song. So if you heard music on the radio, if you heard music in the club, then you always had to upload the playlist to that entity that would then gather the money to do the money distribution. And that was, for me, such an interesting use case to use blockchain and smart contract technology. But I didn't do anything with that at the time. And it was only 2 years later when a friend of mine was working at the bank and they were doing a proof of concept around settlement. And they said they were using Ethereum as a blockchain network. And that made me very excited because I saw a use case in the music industry and they were doing a use case in the banking industry, and everything is around blockchain transaction based. And when we were looking in 2016-17 into blockchain, we just found out it's so hard to use this technology. And we couldn't understand why it had to be this hard. So we decided that Venly, as a technology provider, we should simplify the gateway into blockchain. So we then looked at what are the elements that you need, and we figured out that wallets is a core component, tokenization is another core component, and then with the advent of non-fungible tokens, that's another one. And our goal is then to provide the APIs to enable the businesses forward.
Understood. Yep, I completely agree with, blockchain. Blockchain is basically an infrastructure, so the user doesn't have to really, shouldn't have to deal with infrastructure, right? Like they don't know what's underneath when they make a card payment. They just want it to be easy and seamless. And that brings me to my next question, because Venly provides custody technology, blockchain wallets, for Token City. And it's something that we highly appreciate because there's something that you can provide a custodial blockchain wallet mode and a non-custodial mode, right? So this, for us, a company like us, it provides a lot of flexibility. We have a custodian license, but we can offer both modes. And the thing is that in both cases, the user has basically a seamless experience regardless, which is really neat, right? So I would like to ask you to explain to our audience in simple terms, what's the difference between the custodial mode and non-custodial mode?
Yeah, that I do hear myself. Okay. That originated because we wanted to make everything as simple as possible. And what Venly does with wallet technology is, to explain something technically, we need to manage the private key in such a way so that an end user does not have to. But we also need to make sure that we cannot access the assets that are on blockchain and that is secured by the end user. So on our end, what we do is we do some cryptography where we then split the private key into 2 or 3 actual parts. And with the third part, if you're a custodian, that is something that our customer can then say, we're going to keep that part and we're going to manage the security setting for the end user in such a way so that if they forget their PIN code, if they forget access to their account, then our customer, the custodian, then can enable them even easier than if it's a non-custodial solution. With a non-custodial solution, the risk is always with the end user. The custodian can then also not really help out if the end user would forget, in our case, the PIN code. If they forget the PIN code, we absolutely hope that they stored their emergency code in the event that they forget the PIN code. That's a little bit of a technical nuisance, because I would say that's similar to if you have your email and password, and then you have your 2FA account, but if you forget your 2FA backup and you don't know your password, then you cannot access your account anymore. So a custodian would then typically still help out in the case and still ensure that even if you're forgetting something as an end user, a custodial will help you secure your account, but still get access to it if you don't do everything correctly from the start.
I was actually also referring to the fact that nowadays there are, additional recovery solutions like biometrics and so on. So, like before, like I remember, Vitalik Buterin, the founder or the father basically of Ethereum, he's like, okay, I have my private key is in 2 pieces of paper. One is in my family's house and the other is with me, like paper, right? And it was, I don't know, I think that was 2017, 18. So a lot of hardware wallets and, mnemonics, remember it in your head, paper put somewhere. Really kind of like against, something that is, at the time was definitely cutting edge technology and still is, of course. So the fact that now, with biometrics added into the picture, you don't have to, you are not so at risk of, oh, I forgot. There's other ways that, which can be recovered, which is also nice, right?
Absolutely, that's just a necessity.
Yeah. Yep. So now moving forward, I mentioned before card payments. And that I think we can use that as a segue to the next question, which is that you guys were selected for the MasterCard Blockchain and Digital Assets program. And I would like you to tell us what the experience has been so far, and also what you're seeing in terms of MasterCard, how they're seeing payments, what they are prioritizing. Even if maybe you can see them at some point, heavily involved in securities payments. Of course, I mean, they can as simply as a fiat provider, so to speak, but I don't know, just directly involved in the more security space somehow.
Absolutely. If we look at MasterCard, that was a 4-month program for us where we really got to know the MasterCard team and where we were able to understand what are the products that they're working on in the banking and in the crypto space. And it was an insightful journey because we understand that they do have relatable products. For example, there's a crypto credential product, which is then enabling any MasterCard user that is KYC verified on exchanges to then use crypto credential as a way to transfer assets from one exchange to another exchange. And we're still very much in discussion with MasterCard to see how we can bring their products that they have within their umbrella closer to the ones that we have within the Venly platform. And another great thing about the MasterCard program is this is a beast of a company, a beast of an enterprise. And the Start Path program is really a way for them to look at all of the innovation that is going on out there. In this case, we were looking at fintech and blockchain, but they have other programs in other segments to then say, well, what is MasterCard's role going to be to foster that innovation so that, one, we can help that ecosystem, but on the other hand, also not be left behind. So it's a really smart initiative by MasterCard to make sure that they stay on their toes and be a great friend and provider for the startup ecosystem.
Understood. I definitely agree with, legacy players, as they are many times referred to. They do see the need to take such actions, right? For example, Swift, which is payments messaging association that is basically global. They are very active in the making very strong moves towards the blockchain space and the tokenization space in particular. So I wanted to ask you regarding payments. How do you guys see the stablecoin movement that is taking over the blockchain space at the moment? What's your view on the trends? What are your customers in the payment space requiring? I'm curious about that.
So I think stablecoins are very, very important. And the question is, I don't think there's going to be too many stablecoins that are going to be around. So I'm not understanding how many stablecoins are actually going to be continue to be created. I'm more interested in how many are we going to be able to see that are going to be compliant for every jurisdiction, every legislation, and then how can we enable the movement for every type of use case with stablecoin. And what I then want to see happening is how are we going to converge between AI, smart contracts, blockchain, and payments, because we're seeing a lot of transactions happening, cross-border payments as an example, or just AI agents communicating with other AI agents. And currently, all of these are API calls that are being done. And the compute units that you're using to actually say, well, how are we going to pay for all of these services? I think a lot of that is going to move into the use of blockchain technology, because then you have an autonomous system that is recording each and every transaction, and you can see all of those micropayments being moved around. And probably that's going to be done with a stablecoin, because you cannot deal with the volatility if you want to exchange one service with another. So for me, stablecoin is a very interesting, I would say, I don't like the word hype, but movement into the further application and use of blockchain.
Understood. I was thinking it's a good point that there is going to be at least an important degree of consolidation, because at the moment the space is fractioned in terms of regulatory frameworks. And it's probably going to take a while, but definitely there. I'm curious, in terms of AI agents, are you guys seeing already this type of AI agent in production? If so, what sectors?
Well, we've already seen like combining social media with crypto coins and then making that a little bit more agentic, where you'd have like a simple use case around that. What we want to see a little bit more is how can we actually use AI in the context that it is helpful to make rational decisions on the behalf of a user, and that more in terms of, let's say, liquidity management or making educated trading decisions on behalf of the user, a little bit more than what you would typically do while you're, for example, trading a crypto bot, right? Because on the other hand, the market is always forever changing dynamically, and an agent would then be able to change along with the market. And predetermined rules are probably not going to be as effective in the long term.
Understood. Yeah, trading is like the one use case that to me immediately comes to mind. It's a little scary because I mean it's not difficult to envision a time in which everyone trading is a bot, and something goes wrong and suddenly the economy goes poof, and it was blame the bots, right? So in that sense, in that sense though. Let's bring focus a little bit on security tokens. I wanted to ask you, in Spain now, we do we are applying the regulation by which a security token issued on the blockchain is natively now considered a share, is equally valid as book entry, bookkeeping entry. I don't
Book
remember.
value?
Sorry, no, it's like a CSD and book entry. That's what I wanted to say. I don't remember exactly now the correct expression in English, but basically, completely valid as the blockchain version of a share of a company now in Spain. So I wanted to ask you. You are from Belgium. Your company is registered in Belgium. Can you tell us how this is going in Belgium? What the regulation says regarding blockchain-based securities?
Well, I can only wish that Belgium was as advanced as Spain, because on our end, we actually started out as pure custodian as well, and we were in the running for custodial license. But Belgian legislation, they really don't want innovation within the space. And they actually asked us to then say, well, what can you do so that we do not necessarily have to regulate you? Because on our end, this is a little bit too far for our comfort. And I do understand that blockchain and crypto is a futuristic technology, but it shouldn't be something that you're scared of. So that is actually why we then transitioned into having a non-custodial solution, so that we have that optionality, and a custodial solution for those that have licenses, which are then our clients. So all in all I can say is I wish that Belgium was as advanced as Spain.
Yeah, it is a little surprising. At the end of the day, it's two European countries we are talking about. The European Commission is doing efforts ever since Ethereum came out to promote blockchain, There are many other supranational institutions like the OCDE and the International Bank for Settlements. I don't know, many institutions that are exploring this, that are looking at it as a breath of fresh air, you know, as a possibility to improve our financial system. So, yeah, it's a little bit, concerning what you are describing. Hopefully, it will change. Now, I wanted to also ask you about NFTs. We have seen at Token City a couple of very interesting projects where we have applied NFTs, and I was wondering for you, we are past the NFT bubble, right? Where people were paying 30 million for an NFT image. Now we are at another time. The type of NFTs that we see at Token City are, you know, basically more like utility tokens, so to speak, right? What do you see right now in the space? What are the trends that you're seeing, and what would you like to see going forward?
So, if I really have to bring it down to the basics, for me, an NFT, I would consider that as a standard living on a blockchain, and that standard can be so many different things. Like, maybe the wrong comparison here, because I do that sometimes, is make the wrong analogy. What makes sense in my mind is a PDF, a PNG, these are standards that you have for digital assets that are documents. And with an NFT, you're creating that standard on a blockchain. You're creating a digital asset that is then, in some cases, even the wording NFT is wrong, right? Because you can create a digital asset that is fungible while it uses the NFT standard. So I'm seeing this is being used in the context of gaming. I'm seeing this being used in the context of asset ownership. I'm also seeing this used in the concept of using it as a certification. And another thing that we are looking at that's particularly exciting, it started out on the gaming side, is an NFT contract that has dynamic elements into it so that you can update it as long as you go. And if you then look at, for example, carbon credits, and where you can track the carbon credits and then translate that into properties of the NFT that are then forever changing. Those are things that are very powerful, and that gives a very different meaning to how you would be using the assets that are living on chain, and how that can evolve over time without changing the asset itself, just changing the property of it.
That's very interesting. We have helped companies in the gaming space, get access to funding, and the way you have described it is very interesting indeed. I wanted to ask you now a little bit more, just for the sake of our audience, maybe to tell us a little bit about blockchain security. This is, a key component of blockchain wallet, so to speak, right? It's part of the revolution that you can have a piece of the internet where transactions can happen, and you don't need a trusted party to verify everything. In terms of you guys, can you tell us a little bit how you approach? Of course, there's the private key, right? But is there anything you can explain to our audience about how you apply security to the blockchain wallets that you enable?
I think security is a multifaceted discussion. If you're looking at the blockchain is already a very secure piece of the puzzle and piece of the technology. If we're looking at creating the private key, we have to do that in such a way that we apply some of the cryptographic elements and algorithms just to make sure that we do that, for example, offline, so that there's no hacking event while doing the creation process. And then making sure that every step of the security elements is done according to all security best practices. And once you go further up the chain into application development or server-side protection, you just need to make sure that every layer of dealing with development, application development, infrastructure development, you apply all the necessary procedures for cybersecurity. Some things that are taken for granted are the certification audits that are being done. All token contracts, NFT contracts, they're obviously audited by multiple instances to make sure that those are secure. Our platform itself, we're also continuously on an ethical hacking platform with an active bounty so that any ethical hacker are always aware of updates that we're making on our platform, and they always have a shot to then say, well, is Venly still secure with all of the updates that they're shipping out? And last but not least, all the cybersecurity certifications like ISO 27001 and SOC 2 Type 2, these are two different instances that then also audit our operational procedures to make sure that we do everything that we say that we are doing. And last but not least, also having an insurance also helps. It's not easy for blockchain companies to get insurances, but it is possible. So we did get some insurances so that if we have a platform malfunction, that we are covered to a certain extent.
I remember that aspect of us deciding to go with you guys. We are very happy with the technology you provide, and of course, all the certifications you mentioned, the insurance and so on. So congratulations on all of that and the versatility of your platform. So Tim Dierckxsens, this has been a blast to be able to talk to you and learn a little bit more about Venly. Thank you for being here and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much for having me, and whenever you need me.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. So that was our conversation with Tim Dierckxsens, CEO and co-founder of Venly. We hope you have enjoyed it as much as we did. Take care and bye-bye.